Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine standing under a sky that's it's described as cicada hiss and lawnmower growl hot. So hot it feels, well, almost disrespectful, you know?
Right, given the solemnity of the occasion.
Exactly. You're at a funeral watching dirt being shoveled, but inside you're not sweating. Actually, you feel cold.
Oh.
Feels cold, and you can't cry, and it feels, the text says, like sin. That's the scene, the really powerful, immediate scene our deep dive opens with today.
And it sets up such a fascinating paradox right away.
It does.
It really does, doesn't it? What's truly compelling here is how we're immediately dropped into this unique kind of grief, or maybe the absence of expected grief.
Yeah.
Especially within these really complex family dynamics. So our source today, it's this narrative that lets us explore what happens when those sort of traditional reactions to loss just aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
It takes us on this pretty profound journey, I think, into understanding your own emotional landscape and maybe these inherited patterns too, sometimes called disenfranchised grief.
Right. Where the grief isn't really validated in the usual way. That's a powerful way to frame it.
Yeah.
So the core challenge we're diving into is how someone navigates a funeral for a relative. They openly say they never knew how to like.
Despite all the pressure.
Despite all the societal pressure to be sorrowful, yeah. It forces us, and you, the listener, to confront this tension. Performance versus internal truth.
Mm.
And it pushes us to ask, what does grief actually mean when the person you're mourning was, well, for a lot of your life, a monster?
Mm-hmm.
How do you even reconcile that?
And the narrative just immediately challenges our assumptions about grief, doesn't it?
Total.
This isn't just, a story about a funeral. It's about that internal struggle, authenticity versus expectation.
Yeah.
And that first thought from the protagonist, can't put on grief like wide-brimmed hats and pearls and black dresses. Can't wear it if I don't mean it. It's so raw.
So raw. It's like this powerful defiance against, what did you call it? Performative grief.
Performative grief, exactly.
Yeah.
That pressure to show the right emotions, even if they don't match what's going on inside.
And it's right there from the start. You've got this, like, oppressive, yowling heat,
Right.
summer heat,
Mm-hmm.
but juxtaposed with the protagonist's internal cold feeling.
Mm.
And then there's Aunt June.
Aunt June.
Yeah, she's sort of the epitome of conventional sorrow, whispering, it's all right to grieve, ain't no shame in it.
But the protagonist sees right through that.
Immediately, the inner monologue just cuts through it, recognizing the subtext. She means it's shameful not to cry, especially for your own. It's that immediate, almost crushing pressure.
Yeah, the pressure to perform. And that tension, it just kind of explodes almost right away, doesn't it?
It really does.
With that almost shocking response to Aunt June's, well-meaning but definitely pressuring words.
Who's catering? I'm starved.
Exactly. And Aunt June's reaction, the laud and the whack with the funeral program.
Yeah.
It just instantly signals, okay, this is not a conventional mourning process. This character isn't going to just conform.
No.
It highlights that real emotional processing. It often looks nothing like what society tells us it should.
And I thought it was fascinating how that defiance, it isn't just the protagonist. We even see the uncle, right?
Oh, with the banjolet.
Yes. The banjolet, described as a stringed thing torn between a banjo and ukulele, mourning and joy.
Perfect description.
And he starts playing bluegrass, and it's almost too cheery, nearly turning the funeral into a shindig.
Yeah, it kind of mirrors her own conflict.
Exactly. It perfectly mirrors the protagonist's own inability to decide whether to celebrate or sob. It's this beautiful, messy mix of feelings right there at the graveside.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, if these are the raw emotions swirling around, what does our source tell us about the man at the center of it all? Papa.
Right, building on that conflict. Who was Papa? This man whose funeral sparked such paradoxical feelings.
Yeah.
The protagonist states it plainly. I don't hate Papa, just never knew how to like him. And the sources, they paint this picture of a profoundly complicated man, often a monster. Why, war, whiskey, and whatever else made him mean.
Not abstract reasons either.
No, we get specific, chilling examples of his volatility, like throwing a shattered beer bottle at June, or burning young dad's arm with a lighter.
For stealing gum as a kid.
Yeah, just awful. This clearly wasn't a man who inspired warmth easily. And that right there, that's the initial trauma, isn't it? It sets the stage for a lifetime of these complex relationships.
And this is where it gets really complex, right? Because even this quote-unquote monster, he had moments of humanity.
You did.
He was human somehow when he told stories,
Yeah.
even though he could lie like a Craigslist landlord.
Good line.
isn't it? But he also shared these unsettling truths, like his own father's shame about the darkness of his own son's skin.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah. And his war stories or altar boy tales, they just end abruptly in a grunt silence and another bottle. It leaves you with this sense of unfinished business,
Wow.
unresolved pain.
It really makes you realize that even deeply flawed people are rarely just one thing, are they?
No.
And understanding the complexity is so important, not to excuse the behavior, obviously, but just to grasp the full human picture.
Yeah, to see the whole person.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is the unexpected pride Papa took in the protagonist.
That part really stood out.
Yeah, he was like phoning friends, bragging to neighbors about the grandkid getting into college,
Which was huge in their town.
described as akin to an Olympic gold medal in our small Appalachian town. And this is in stark contrast to his own kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dad and his siblings didn't make it through high school.
Mm-hmm. And the cousins.
And the cousins who spent more time behind bars than out because they couldn't keep away from dope.
So this college thing was different.
It reveals this deep, almost desperate desire for a different kind of legacy, maybe, even from someone so hardened. He finally got boys to brag on, as the text says, through his grandkid.
That's powerful. Almost tragic, what you said.
It is.
And that powerful bit about Papa's pride, it leads us naturally to their final shared moment. This quiet connection that, despite everything, hinted at maybe a different side of him.
Right, near the end.
Yeah. Papa, thin, weak from cancer, but crucially, no less angry. Slumped in his ugly olive recliner.
Still angry.
Still angry. But then there's this tender, almost peaceful scene, sharing a cigar on the porch, the sky turning from gold to dusky purple, fireflies sparking.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, Papa asked all about school more than he'd ever asked me about anything. Just genuine interest, finally.
From a man who'd been so distant, so volatile. What do you make of that?
It's incredibly poignant, isn't it?
It really is. It suggests maybe a flicker of potential, a moment where the monster part receded, perhaps. Maybe because he saw something of himself or his own hopes in the protagonist.
Could be.
And this whole idea of inherited burdens, things passed down generations, it's captured so beautifully in that metaphor Papa himself shared.
The
legend, yeah. He talks about this lost soul who whistles past the willows only in summer near graves.
Right, carrying the bones.
Carrying the bones of his father in a sack over his shoulder. Always looking for a place to lay it down, but never does.
It's such a haunting image, unresolved legacy. Speaks right to that intergenerational trauma idea.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And what's so striking, so incredibly telling, is how Pop explains it. He says, some things can't be put away no matter how hard you try.
And then immediately contradicts it.
Immediately. Follows his deep, insightful statement by yelling at June for taking too long with his beer, then throwing the bottle at her, shattering it just shy of her head.
Even though she's doing everything for him.
Despite her tireless, thankless care, June still kept his meds organized, drove him to appointments, even helped bathe him.
It's the perfect illustration of the very cycle he just described. He sees the burden, but he can't put his own down.
He articulates it, but can't break it. That self-awareness without the ability to change the pattern, it's profound.
And connecting this back to the protagonist, they see this cycle so clearly, and they actively try to avoid it.
Definitely. They observe Papa's view. To him, women were maids and half-brains.
Yeah.
But then with this sharp clarity, they realize, but even my half-a-brain knew to get out before he made me into June.
It's that conscious awareness, isn't it? Seeing the pattern of caretaking and abuse and deciding, no, not for me.
Exactly. It's an active choice. It's agency right there in the face of these really heavy inherited patterns.
And that burden, those unburied bones, it's not just a metaphor in the story. It feels physically present.
How so?
Well, we see Dad at the funeral, standing stiff, shoulders tight, and there's this lingering, really powerful visual detail. The tiny patch of dark skin on his left arm, still there from when Papa burned him with the lighter.
The gum incident.
Yeah, that tiny scar. It just perfectly symbolizes the physical and emotional wounds passed down, how the past literally marks us.
It really does. So after the formalities, there's this poignant moment of escape, right, for Dad and the protagonist.
Yeah, they get away from the fake condolences and the eulogy.
The tall tale eulogy.
Right. The one claiming Papa lit up every room, but as the protagonist notes, didn't say how, didn't admit he doused it in gasoline and struck a match.
Oof. Powerful imagery.
So instead, they find solace on the searing truck bed, sharing a steaming water bottle, just a small, shared moment of quiet understanding.
And it's in those quiet moments, isn't it, that the most authentic connections often happen, away from all the performance pressure.
Yes, and what's fascinating about that shared silence is how it allows for a different kind of talk. One that, verbal condolences often just can't touch.
Mm.
It's there in that quiet that the protagonist holds this unspoken question. Does Dad feel the same as he? Relieved, ashamed, done with this funeral too.
And Dad's answer, when it finally comes.
Without even looking at the protagonist, it's incredibly profound. I'll miss who he could have been.
Wow. That hits hard.
It's this unique grief, isn't it? Not for the man Papa was, but for the potential that was never realized. The man he could have been.
That's a really specific kind of ambiguous loss, mourning what never actually existed.
Exactly. Which raises this important question about their different experiences with that whole intergenerational burden, right?
Definitely, because
Yeah.
Dad then says, I'm proud of you. You know that. Hell, you're the only good thing about me.
And the protagonist gets it. They understand Dad's emotional limits. Dad's never been good with feelings. Neither have I.
But they also recognize the huge difference in their upbringings.
Yeah. They realize if I had been raised by Papa, never told I was loved, hit instead of held, I'd be worse.
Mm.
At least I got more than he did. I got scraps, but Dad got starved.
That's such a moment of deep empathy. Recognizing how trauma hits generations differently creates different levels of maybe emotional capacity.
And that empathy, that's what leads to the breakthrough, right? That
Yeah.
glimmer of release from the initial coldness.
The turning point.
Yeah. Dad goes off to smoke, and a tear finally burns down the protagonist's cheek. And it brings relief. Maybe flesh beats behind my chest instead of granite after all.
Ah.
But, and this is crucial, the tear isn't for Papa. The narrative is explicit. I don't cry for Papa. I cry for Dad.
Wow. So the grief unlocked is for the living, for
Yeah.
the one who suffered alongside them.
Exactly. It's not just an emotional breakthrough. It's this profound shift in understanding and compassion. It breaks through that granite feeling and shows how empathy can unlock our own hidden grief.
So as we sort of bring this deep dive toward a close, what we've really explored is this incredibly powerful narrative about inherited emotional burdens.
Yeah.
That central metaphor, carrying bones, it takes on so many layers of meaning, doesn't it?
It really
It's
does.
not just physical remains. It's the palpable weight of family history, of unaddressed trauma, unresolved patterns, all passed down.
Generation to generation.
Yeah. And the protagonist's journey really shows us that true healing often starts when we actually acknowledge what we've inherited, instead of just trying to push it down or ignore it.
It really hammers home that insight the protagonist has. Just because you bury a man doesn't mean the hurt goes down with him.
Such a key line.
Maybe Papa learned that from his pops. Dad learned it from Papa, and I learned it from Dad. I pray mine won't learn it from me.
It really emphasizes that active, conscious choice, doesn't it? To try and break the cycle, to forge a different path, to maybe finally lay down those bones.
So good.
And then in the very end, there's that quiet kind of resignation from the protagonist, thinking, if Papa were here, what story would he tell? I'll never know. And maybe that's best.
Leaves you thinking, this isn't just about one funeral, one difficult relative. It feels like a universal story, really, about the legacy we inherit and the one we then choose to build ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
So maybe something for you, the listener, to ponder as you reflect on your own family's history. What stories do you choose to carry forward, and which ones? Which ones do you decide are maybe best left unsaid or put away as you walk on, quietly carrying your own bones?